I'm thinking maybe I'll put it like in my old.
All right.
And then like a bumper. And then I was thinking, I should.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to ask a question to start off on how many people would knowingly and intentionally eat the feces of E. coli viral bacteria? No one, right? Well, if you believe that what you don't know can't hurt you, you may be dead wrong, or at least you may become very ill.
Go to slideshow on top.
Put the slideshow from the beginning.
F5.
Okay, well now you're from the second
On the
slide.
keyboard, F5.
All the way up top.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, that's
F5.
We'll go back to the beginning. Do slide two. Current slide, okay?
First of all, what's a GMO? GMO stands for genetically modified organisms. GMO was a result of a laboratory process. Genes from one DNA species are extracted. The said genes are then artificially forced into the genes of an unrelated plant or animal. The foreign genes can come from bacteria, viruses, insects, animals, or even humans. Now, Monsanto and DuPont are two of the major ones in the world, especially Monsanto. There's a couple other companies also, but Monsanto is worldwide. And in the next slide here.
Just
Hit
press
the space
enter,
bar.
or use the mouse, click the mouse.
Yeah, it doesn't have my thing on the side anymore. You took it off.
Just hit enter.
There we go.
That's it, enter or click the mouse.
Let me go to. Yep. If you're eating aspartame, then you're doing exactly that. You're eating viral bacteria. It's in 6,000 products or more. Diet soda, it's in toothpaste, it's in mouthwashes, it's in many, many products that in the A&P, the Stop and Shop, ShopRite, wherever you shop, unless you go to Whole Foods or Trader Joe's and specifically look, or in any of these stores, for non-GMO. And the industry of Monsanto and DuPont are trying to get the government to call GMO foods organic. As early as 1980, an FDA Board of Inquiry comprised of 3 independent scientists confirmed that aspartame might induce brain tumors. They were saying it might. For years they turned it down until Donald Rumsfeld was with Searle. He was with the Republicans for years, but in the Reagan administration, the first day he was elected, right after the inauguration day, it's really the second day I believe, Searle reapplied, and they soon after, with Rumsfeld's push, aspartame got put on the market. And many people are eating GMO foods and not even knowing it, and they're eating E. coli bacteria. Monsanto is the world's largest chemical company and producer of GMO foods, multi-million-dollar industry firm. DuPont pioneers the major seller of GMO hybrid soybeans in the USA, across the world. It's licensed by Monsanto to use its Groundnut technology. Do you believe the causes of health conditions such as diabetes, cancers, and others, headaches, and others are a mystery? Aspartame is suspected by many knowledgeable experts to cause several serious health conditions. Monsanto is the same company who produced Agent Orange and Roundup Ready trademark herbicide, which is resistant to the herbicide that kills the bugs. And they put, a lot of these products are put in the foods. That's what they're genetically doing. And they can spray the heck out of this stuff with pesticides, and you're eating it, if you don't look for non-GMO foods. Glyphosate is an ingredient in Roundup, and it's reportedly created superweeds and insects that are now Roundup immune. So they're having a field day with putting out the products, making the farmers put the Roundup down. It's creating more weeds that are Roundup resistant. Now they come up with another thing that's an ingredient of Agent Orange that Dow's coming out so they can kill the superweeds that Roundup doesn't kill. And there's insects that are becoming, different breeds of insects that are out there now, and different diseases are becoming prevalent. Monsanto's Roundup Ready GMO food crops are suspected by many knowledgeable experts to cause serious health conditions. Now here's the studies. GMO foods, tumors, kidney problems, cancers, GMO with Roundup. And there's another study, GMO with just a Roundup. This is in a rat. And you may say, this is the inside of them. You're looking at what happens to them. Now, it happens to rats, and yes, they do put more in there, but if you're eating it over a long term, and you wonder why there's so much diabetes, so much obesity today, 80% of what they're putting in the supermarket, they've been playing with. The world's #1 herbicide has been discovered in U.S. mother's breast milk. This is just April 6, 2014. Pilot study shows buildup of glyphosate herbicide in mothers' bodies. Urine testing shows glyphosate levels of over 10 times higher than in Europe. The United States is the only, one of the only, I shouldn't say the only, countries that refuse to label GMO foods, and much at the push and the ownership of politicians by Monsanto and companies like DuPont and Dow. But Monsanto is the real granddaddy of them all. Here we go. You may say, I'm not a laboratory rat. That's a baby. Argentina GMO and Roundup poisoning is suspected, and that's what happens. Deformities, it gets in the mother gets into the baby, and the babies will show it first. Why is there deformities? Is it a mystery? Why is there cancers? Why are you having a problem losing weight? They can genetically modify these foods to make you want to eat more. Lay's potato chips used to have an ad a long time ago, and it just got me for years and years. I bet you can't eat just one. I said, what are they putting in there? Entenmann's cakes. You eat one, and you can't stop. You get addicted to it. So maybe it's not just the natural food. Maybe it's not the sugar. GMO foods to avoid. Canola oil, you almost can't avoid these things. Canola oil, corn, cottonseed oil, papaya, soy, sugar beets, yellow squash, and zucchini. Now, it shows the percentage of it that places like Monsanto are doing to this, and they're not the only company. DuPont's actually been dealing with Monsanto, and they settled a $1.75 billion lawsuit over the last couple of years. And now it's like us and the Russians during World War II. And now they don't trust each other, but they're working together. Now, if you don't think you eat these things directly, look on the labels it'll say canola oil, it'll say corn, it'll say soy. Soy is put in many, many things. So you're eating GMO without them telling you, and they purposely are not telling you. That's the healthfamily.org that this one came from. Now here's a genetically modified roaster chicken on the right and a normal chicken on the left. 5.5 weeks old, both of them. This one's been played with. It's got who knows what in it, and you buy it in the grocery store. So they're making profit. That's all the industry. They'll say all kinds of things. Here's a normal chicken. It's almost like look at this poor guy. Same age, you would think this one's his grandfather or something.
He's pregnant.
It's just genetically modified. Is it a chicken or what's in that?
He needs courage.
Do you believe our government leaders or the FDA protect you from damaging toxins being in what you eat? Now, I don't hate to insult anybody with politics, but during his 2008 campaign for office for presidency, Obama promised to ensure that GMO food products would be labeled as such. After being elected, President Obama appointed several people to the FDA, USDA, who had ties to Monsanto. President Obama appointed Monsanto lawyer Michael Taylor to be deputy commissioner for foods at the FDA. And there's many, many things. And you can go to the internet and you can see his speech. He said it repeatedly in 2007, 2008. He was getting the GMO people, the resistance off his back. And then he turned around and hired all the people that were supposed to be watching the foods. I'll make sure GMOs are labeled because people have a right to know what they are eating. And you can take that to the bank. Well, what happened, Mr. President? That's what I say. And it isn't just the Democrats, Republicans, they're owned by Monsanto. Monsanto's controlling it, politicians are controlling much of the world. DuPont and Monsanto reportedly major financial contributors to the American Cancer Society. And this man was an honest man. He was at the National Cancer Institute. And the American Cancer Society was started by Rockefeller Jr., John D. Rockefeller Jr. years ago, I think it was 1913. They, meaning the American Cancer Society, when he was asked about this, lie like scoundrels. Dr. Dean Burke, PhD, 34 years at the National Cancer Institute. This man happened to be an honest man, probably not alive anymore. Looks like he wasn't young at the time, 1978. So it keeps coming back to that short but all important three-letter word, why? Why do companies like Monsanto and DuPont pioneer, they call themselves DuPont Pioneer, DuPont owns a pharmaceutical company, owns the hospitals, they put money into the mammogram machines. They're the ones telling the American Cancer Society and places like that tell you to do things. They're giving a cancer, they find the cancer. You talk about, people have to wake up. If these chemical companies truly believe that GMO foods are safe to eat, then why are they not happy to label them as such so they can proudly promote their claim? And Europe has 64 countries across the world, and many countries in Europe are either restrict, label, or just ban GMOs. So, a little more honest over there with it. So who are you going to trust with your foods? Is it a company like Monsanto that is telling the advertisers, that they give much money into as their sponsors, and they pay for politicians to get elected? Anybody that goes against Monsanto as a politician usually doesn't make president, governor, they don't make dog catcher. So they tell you one thing. A perfect example is President Obama. And it isn't just President Obama. This happened with Ronald Reagan, as people, Ford. You go back, Republican, Democrat. We need a good third party that's, and they'll probably be bought by Monsanto too, unfortunately. So Monsanto made nuclear weapons, DDT, Agent Orange, PCBs, bovine growth hormones they put in our cows and our milk, artificial sweeteners like aspartame, which is a GMO product. They have 50 Superfund sites, and they're playing around with most of our foods. So when you hear something and you don't have to know, why would somebody not want to know what they're eating? What possible legitimate reason would you have? The industry will tell you things like it makes foods last longer, they're safer. They try to say that there's a consensus of scientists, which is a lie. There's no consensus of scientists that say that GMO foods are safe. To the contrary, since the 1960s, they've been saying that it's a real problem. It clearly appears that the GMO industry has made every attempt to keep food consumers in the dark and unaware of what they are eating for the sake of huge profits and very possibly at the risk of health and welfare of the food consuming public. It is a seriously troubling question of just why any company who claims that their food product is safe would object to having the GMO foods labeled as such. Furthermore, many other countries in the world have seriously questioned the safeness of GMO foods and have either required labeling and limitations or in some cases have completely banned GMOs. I believe that any straightforward thinking individual must agree that there is absolutely no legitimate reason not for the food consuming public to know what is in their foods, the foods that they're purchasing and eating. We certainly should be able to make an educated choice of what foods we wish to purchase or not, and what foods we wish to eat. And I hope I gave you something to think about, and I think you'll agree, if you're looking at this honestly, that we should have our foods labeled at the very least, and everyone should know if they're eating E. coli bacteria. Thank you for listening.